Hello people. When people ask me how I'm doing, generally I don't know. At the time, it was often a very normal and innocuous I'm okay that came out, except that now it has become a bold tunnel question to which, if I want to answer it quickly, and in all honesty, I have to rack my brain. So I ask myself a question with serious consequences to help me understand how I got here. How was it done? If I take a statistical model of the average teenager that I meet in everyday life and I compare it characteristic to mine, you don't have to look far. I have diverged enough to be considered a curiosity by the majority of people my age and a little less adults. Usually easiest in the kind of situation when you wonder how you got there is to review all the events in chronological order. I will not tell I will try to not to tell useless or inaccurate things because it is not an incredible story and above all a fight between me and me. In addition, I have not suffered much and I do not have much merit for having done anything good in this world. Disclaimer, my school system is Belgian and I am only child which has greatly played a role, and also my parents have separated since I am 7 years old. There was also a time when I was a pretty normal kid by the standards of my classmates. I didn't have a family worse than the other, few poor, few rich. I didn't have a school life any worse than the other at the time. I had average grade and at the time I was aiming for 80%. Everywhere I had a group of friends made up of smaller people, very close knit group between them. I functioned almost no differently from the others. I liked video games, science, and memes, of course. My only major difference were the lunch or few of my friends were the fact of not having siblings and the fact that I have never stopped being. I have always spontaneous ask question, for example, to what temperature do my hand drops if I keep them continually wet, and for example, I use a gust of wind to make evaporate the water so it takes away the heat. One of the only warning signs of my atypical behavior was my gradual transition around the age of 12 to only watching scientific channels like National Geographic, AB Explore, or Discover Channel, because there was a time I spent a lot of time in front of the TV, which is no longer the case today. I had a rather narrow outlook on life. I just thought about what I was going to do the next day at school. In first secondary school, I found myself separated from a good part of my friend, but thanks to a happy coincidence, I was able to spend a good part of the year with my best redhead friends. One of the only big trigger for today's me was quarantine, March 17, 2020. Several hundred days for which I wonder what else I did apart from playing Among Us, Fortnite, and watching stupid video. I was lucky not to get caught up in TikTok, which would have been pretty bad even if it's yet another thing that could have allowed me to socialize with goofs. Between the quarantine, there was a return of school for the second year of secondary, and I found myself separated of almost all my friends during classes since we were not in the same class. So at that moment, I was still doing well even if I had really put me out of my comfort zone. I think that something was triggered in my unconscious, but I was not yet able to notice it clearly. At the end of that year, I felt a little alone and disoriented in class, but outside I was fine and I still kept touch a lot with my loved ones, both at school and on the networks. September 2021, then comes the third year of secondary school, during which I have to change school because it stopped at the second. It's in the same town, but there are only 3 people in the whole school that I know who are there. My emotional inertia absorbed the blow at that point, but I spent several weeks alone at school. Many in the school knew each other, and therefore finding a place there was too hard for me. I knew how to join a group from one of my friends from my old school. This group I spent a year there and not a day more. But it was really because it was necessary for one to survive. They were rather toxic and had subjective debate with insult and contempt. Fortunately, during this period at my house mother, I had the holy PS4 and above all, old friend from my first school with whom I spent almost all of my extracurricular day, counting everything I did with them. That was easily 2000 hours of play. I should have played more if I had asked for the PS Plus, but I was reluctant. I think I am a child who cost not very expensive, who quickly became very rational for the money for some things because I learned to make my possession precious. And my mother passed on her stinginess to me, and I had no pocket money, so I received very little cash. I hardly bought any game, even if I wanted it very strongly. There were a lot of up and downs with my old friends, but at the time they allowed me not to lose my bearing too much and not to change. Around 2022, my academic result had remained stable, but less my emotion. I don't even remember what I did with my days apart from playing, listening to music and videos. This year flew by. And my relationship with my best friend began to grow more and more to dust because he really had a little free time outside of school and I wasn't in the same school as him. Meanwhile, he had found another group of friends in his new school. I started doing a lot of sport and eating less while studying about nutrition. In my class, there were a lot of shit people, both during the third and fourth grade secondary, so some courses were completely rotten by this atmosphere of immaturity and desire to waste time of 80% of the students. Between the end of the third and the fourth, I think there was my benchmark had to dwindle enough for me to completely immerse myself in my bubble, which was sport and intellectual stimulation, learning things, and watching videos. At the time, I refused to be interested in anything that was fiction. I had extremely down to earth and coldly rational. On June 21, 2021, I met one of the most important human in my life. On an online farewell game, we started chatting on Discord, and the first month since we met, we had written 14,000 messages. That is to say, 1,500 per day. So we spent all days talking. It was during the summer holidays. She allowed me to learn a lot, and I owe her my English vocabulary. During these 2 months, I didn't have much to do at home, so I went outside for miles and miles. It greatly improved my sense of direction, resistance to physical and mental fatigue. I had people who didn't like me, but I never got harassed at school. That's surely because of my character and great self-depreciation and self-defense. If someone went too far towards me, both physically and morally. Around the fourth grade, I was extremely stressed by the anxiety of not having anyone to support me, so I continued to stimulate myself. But I ran to school. I listened to video in fast motion. I also became obsessed with eating as few calories as possible, and I did a lot of cardio and weight training, which led me to lose weight, 48 kilos for 1.7 meters. And I lost muscle too. I think I was tired and my joint too, which is dangerous because I was already growing and that could ruin the rest of my life. During this year, I made some good friends in class, but I didn't fit into any group. I had several miserable friendships that ended badly. There was often the type to spend the majority of time alone at school because they have elsewhere friends. An autistic person had a word on his sound in his head which was his secret universe, or generally he made up a fiction based on all the apocalyptic science fiction video games that he had playing. He told me that he wanted to spend more time alone, but while he was saying that, he was now spending his time with others. There was a trans boy in the picture who still looked like a girl, who was very gothic. He liked gore and video games and avoided talking about lots of part of his life. But for a few days we became very good friends from my point of view. And one day he lied to me by telling me that he still had problems with his old boyfriend apparently, except that it was just because he thought I was too weird for him and he didn't want to tell me, even though I tried to base our friendship on honesty and trust. As other, it was to give substance to my word. Each time the pattern repeats itself at the beginning, they are caring and committed, but then I am not well enough to start a close friendship. I also took a few habits of which I am not proud to concentrate on something else. These 2 years passed quite quickly in a sense because it was very dark period in my heart, and there was certainly a sort of anti-traumatism mechanism which made me almost not remember a big part of all this uncomfortable time. I had been asked the social worker of my school who helps a little bit, but I think I was not showing really the help that I needed. A good thing that I kept is all the music that I discovered. It opened me to new horizons and I listened to classical music in a foreign languages, aggressive and peaceful. Plus the return of all the things that inspired me with extreme nostalgia like Minecraft music, GTA, some memes, and even if I no longer watched any of them. In my way of seeing things modified, especially by all the YouTube videos that I watched both on philosophy, history, biology, physics, all the negative things in the world. It's ironic, but I only wanted to see factual things that had a link with reality while I was completely mentally isolated from the world. I began to respond at school that I was not going well, and I said it was too long and not interesting to explain. During this period, I had disagreement with my father over my health and the catastrophic blood test that I had taken, in addition of the excessive sport that I did, and with my mother because she absolutely wanted me to change school and find a student internship. So she was bothering me with that, especially since she wasn't feeling very well at the time. Today I have a rather asymmetrical relationship with my parents, vacillating fusion with my mother, and a bit extraterrestrial with my father. During the summer holiday of 2023, I opened up quite a bit and I had a food awareness. 2023-2024. I had a little academic expectation. It was really nice during the first month. My class was extremely pleasant. We progressed very quickly and you got along each other well with each other. But from the second month, due to student movement, we found ourselves with another class in general courses, so half of my lesson hours. It greatly reduced the quality of the sessions because of only 3 people in the other class. We didn't have to wait long for our general teachers to get fed up, so they put useless measures in place which didn't work because they are too much permissive with the students. Of the 7 subjects that we see in general courses, there are only 2 that are drinkable and gives me a live example of all that could be needed in a right teacher in his boot who treats the student aged between 16 and 22 as disrespectful and immature kids who look for every opportunity to waste time or love, and who is able to be respected by the student while doing advance the course correctly by ensuring that the students who are motivated have learned what they have to learn 24 hours a day, acting like an idiot on the social recognition of friends, talking very often about sex as well in insult than in mockery which is constant in a vicious cycle, or if you are not a predator or you not know how to respond to of the attack of other, you become a prey. Annex of the current me. In all the schools I have been to since I changed, I have obtained a reputation throughout the people I met, or those who see me outside the class still see me as a loner who often run, who eats vegetable and listen to things with headphone. Inside the class, I am perceived as different by the fact that I am often very serious in every stupid stuff, that I do not think like everyone else in terms of my opinion and in terms of my way of thinking, and also as a clumsy person who likes school. I never found a group of individual people to have interdependent relation with them because they were reluctant because they already have their life and they didn't want me. One of my principles, even if the darkest time, is to always force myself to move towards and try to change the situation in which I am. I have almost always maintained an extraordinarily good and easy sleep. Today I still find myself with certain obsession, like always doing a balance of the intensity of state. For example, trigger warning, it's not gastronomy, but for example, if I eat pickles, I will put plain pasta with it, and if I eat chicken, I absolutely want something with it, like an apple, for example, to do. So sometimes it makes me eat a lot. I never snack and I drink water flavored. Today, I no longer count calories, but my brain still continue to analyze everything because he remember all the time I checked this value on internet. That what pushing me to write this video was the impulse of a period of great mental changes mixed with a desire to write down and list the event in my life, put them into acceptance that I will never be the same again. How do I seem to feel today? Everything is happening very quickly, so I am probably no longer in the state here when you watch this video. At the moment, I have a lot of social contact throughout screens, but I see that it has a different and less strong impact on my social satisfaction. I very often have contradictory emotions. After the events, I think about the fun situation I have because I think a lot and I can't always be stoic. I have an insatiable end of productivity for a certain part of my life, like at the moment video editing, but for others I can't move toward, so I stagnate and sometimes I think. I often advise people how they should behave, but myself sometimes I can't apply my own advice. I have an obsession with keeping the hope that I will find one day someone similar enough or who complements me to finally find a balanced relationship and who fulfill my social hunger. Have a good day. It's crazy that you're still there. Hugs. Love ya even if I may not know you, whoever you are. Bye bye boy. In fact, no. There are credits, post credit because I think too much, so I had ideas and to me they were important enough for me after I did the video. It existentially bothers me to not know what I am even if I think I know what I am. The problem is that I was never diagnosed with anything like autism or high intellectual potential or I don't know. So I know I can somewhat relate to them, but I'm not sure because I always wanna relate on safe experiences, but this time I don't know because no official diagnosis. I had many existential crises since I am 12, from many nature, like my goal or my identity or even my infinitesimal space in the universe, so I always took to this even when I was normal, so maybe it has contributed to all of this. The best for the end. Last one this time. Conclusion. I am a normal kiddo who missed the social step and today, due to factors like incisive ending of my every old relations I had and the failure of not finding others extracurricularly or in my new school where I failed to reintegrate myself. It gave me time to kill on a knowledge platform like YouTube and I wasn't watching bullshit because before I was only watching that on YouTube. Yet now I'm watching only documentaries and scientific stuff on YouTube. I had no reason to keep watching the same shit because I have no friends to share it with. Since it was no more than the YouTube algorithm and the absence of outside influence took me here in the way where I didn't fall on a sect leader and I just watched YouTube and recorded it in my brain, so I needed stimulation because of society craving. Sadness and nice. So thank you, second of the name. No, none of whom I will not have asked to see that video will watch it, but I don't give a duck since that is done. I can show it to my pedopsychiatrist. Hello, miss. And have a good day. Wish you the best. Don't forget to have gratitude towards people you appreciate, like what they feel happy and when they are happy or you're happy too. I hope. Yeah, bruh.